Hey everybody, it's RJ, your host, and welcome to Hash It Out. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Dr. Jason Hastings of ECS Brands about recent research on the benefits of hemp and cannabinoid-based products on sleep, health, and well-being. We'll also compare and contrast hemp protein with other popular protein sources and discuss varying hemp regulations in states throughout the US, as well as the prospects and implications of federal hemp regulations. Without further ado, let's hash it out. My guest today is the Chief Science Officer of the hemp company ECS Brands. Welcome to the show, Dr. Jason Hastings. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, RJ. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you so much for sitting down and having a conversation with me today. Now, where are you joining us virtually from today?
I actually live in Carson City, Nevada, but the company's based in Broomfield, Colorado.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. I have a family that lives over in Summerlin. It's like kind of outside of the Vegas area. So right on.
Down south there.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining me and sharing all that you've got going on over at ECS Brands. And then, of course, going into some of the trending cannabis topics that have been certainly making waves and been increasing in discussion lately. So just diving in here, I understand that ECS Brands produces lifestyle-based, complete spectrum whole hemp products. And ECS has a host of brands that includes Hemp Fuel, Care by Derma, and Scuba Snacks, which I'm very interested about. So tell me more about what the company does and how you ended up getting involved with the company, if I have my info correct here, in September of this year. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. So
Nice.
I'll start off with just the background of the company. So ECS Brands has been around for a while now. As you mentioned, we have a whole slew of product lines ranging from human application, pet application. We also do a lot of bulk material supply. So with our Hemp Fuel line, which we just recently launched, it was something that we wanted to roll out just in time for MJ BizCon. We have our Hemp Fuel protein line, so hemp protein, no cannabinoids in it, just protein derived and extracted straight from the hemp plant itself. We have all of our capsule lines, which then focus on a unique function. So OptiBrain, our Herbal Immortal, Vital Male, Vital Female, trying to supplement what the daily needs of the average person are with a nice, wide, diverse product offering. Scuba Snacks, of course, for our pet application and pet lines. ECS also does a lot of bulk material supply and finished good processing. We make custom blends, so if people wanted a unique CBG formulation or a higher CBG, higher CBN, they can come to us. We have ways to make it possible. None of our material is synthetic. It's all naturally derived. And that's something we pride ourselves on, is trying to make sure we're pulling out all of what the plant has to offer and using it. To that end, we focus a great deal of our effort, and partly why I came on board, is to focus a lot on our research. So ECS has been conducting studies left and right even before I came on. In fact, I came on right at the ending of a clinical study with their Nitro V is what they call it. It's a verin-rich extract straight from the plant.
Wow.
To put in perspective, 500 kilograms of biomass are used to create 1 kilogram of extract. It's very low percentage, but very powerful material. If time permits, later on I could go through the study results, but the Nitro V, we had a 125 person clinical study, 100 active, 25 placebo over 90 days taking the product. And we saw weight loss, reduction in blood sugars, better sleep, less pain, less anxiety. So I can go through details on that later if we have the time.
Sure.
So
absolutely. Yeah. I would love to hear more about that, please. Yeah. If you would continue, what were sort of the conclusions that you've drawn from that study, and then what sort of implications or uses do you think you might have for the results of that study in terms of future product development or anything of the sort?
yeah, so what we're really focusing on, what a lot of people are hanging on, is the weight loss application of the verin-rich extract that we use. So what we found after 90 days is the average weight loss was about 10.2 pounds after 90 days for all active participants. The largest loser, earner, whichever way you want to look at it, was 22 pounds after 90 days. So you can
Wow.
imagine what that could mean for people. And what it really does is it seems to regulate your appetite a little bit more. It helps center your
Mm.
body and calm down the cravings that you might face day to day. And so when you apply that, you start to lose a little bit of weight. And then, of course, if it helps you sleep better, what we saw is on average, all active participants gained 300 plus minutes of deep sleep. We gave every participant a Fitbit band at night, and so Fitbit
Uh-huh.
has their own calculators to calculate deep sleep, REM sleep, and awake time. And so we saw a reduction in awake time and a drastic increase in deep sleep. And so deep sleep, of course, if you get better sleep, you're going to feel better, which then, of course, brings down your anxiety, and then your perceived pain drops as well if overall you're feeling better day to day. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the major findings from it for at least weight loss and day to day management. Um, there's possibly some drug application in the future for its regulation of blood sugars. We saw 36 participants in the study were pre-diabetic when they went in. It wasn't a criteria that we screened for; it just happened to be something we tested for. Um,
Mm.
and we saw that all 36 of them went from a pre-diabetic range, and that's 5.4 and above, to below that. Every single one of them within 90 days. So its application
Wow.
for maybe some pharmaceutical applications or to help people with pre-diabetes or elevated blood sugars could be something that really comes of it. But before we go down that road, of course, we want to do additional clinical studies and try and build it out and test it
Of course.
properly to get it fully approved through the FDA.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. Of course. More studies are always. It always seems to be like the tag at the end is like we found this study, but like we want to do more, which like of course is a good thing. But those preliminary findings are
Oh,
very encouraging
yeah.
to hear. I would imagine.
Absolutely. The very well received across the board. The MJ BizCon conference was when a lot of people came to our booth, and our pamphlets that we had, we were gone. We were out of them the first day. That's how much traction we had. And it's not like we brought just a couple of them. We had tons of them. So
Right.
it's definitely grabbing traction. But I mean, that's just one facet of what ECS does in our research area. I mean, beyond just unique blends and formulations, and of course this Varin-rich extract, we look at improving emulsions. We're currently about to, we've already filed a patent. We're about to light up another trial batch, a much larger production scale, where we're increasing the affinity for the oil phase with the emulsion system to try and lower that particle size and make sure it's a little bit more stable. And of course,
Wow.
with that, there's a fine dance that we want to do. FDA classifies anything as below like 100 nanometers as being like a unique application. You have to prove it. Anything above that, it should follow the same like body impact as if you were normally ingest it. So
Mm-hmm.
if we stay above 100, we're not having to do additional clinical studies or studies to show that there's no detrimental effects to the body when taking such small particles. So we're gonna dance that line, but hopefully what it does is this new system. It allows us to increase the stability of it, meaning less chance for microbial attack or breakdown of the emulsion long term.
Totally, yeah, and the safety and efficacy of the products have certainly been an increasing topic of discussion, as well as sort of the health benefits that these sort of supplements and products can bring. You mentioned, of course, the weight loss, the health benefits, and the sleep, which has been an increasing topic of discussion. Like we simply out there don't get enough sleep. I am a big example of that.
Yeah.
Like I have this weird relationship with sleep where we are such great friends. I love sleep, but we don't see each other as often as we'd like to. So I will definitely and we will definitely be keeping an eye on all of that news and all of those developments. And if you ever have any other developments in terms of any of that, please feel
Yeah.
free to reach out and come back on the show, and we can certainly discuss more regarding that, because that is a very interesting topic of discussion that I think our viewers and our listeners could benefit from hearing about and staying up to date on. Speaking of the health benefits here, I want to jump to the hemp fuel protein products, because I this is kind of like a personal question for me. I have a role coming up where I have to beef up, right? I'm playing a professional wrestler in this upcoming production, right? So I have to get nice and lean and beefed up by August. And so, over the last few years, many different sources of protein supplements, besides, the very common ones of, the whey and the casein and the soy-based proteins, have really risen in popularity, including pea protein and then, of course, hemp protein. Hemp fuel is marketed as, quote, the gold standard of hemp protein. So what do you see that sets it apart from other protein products? And then what are the benefits of hemp protein as opposed to other sources of protein out there?
Yeah, great questions. So I'll talk about the benefits or the added benefits of hemp protein itself first. Uh, Usually,
Sure.
when you're measuring effectiveness of a protein, there's something called the PDCA score, protein digestibility compatibility amino acid score. It's how well your body uptakes the certain aminos of the ones that you need. Any animal-based proteins are typically a 1. That's a perfect score. You can't get much higher than that, or you can't get higher than that. Soy protein isolate is a 0.93, pea is a 0.75. Since hemp protein's fairly new data is coming out here and there about it. I saw one journal article from the Journal of Agricultural Food Chemistry, I believe is what it was, in 2010. They said it got up to about 0.975, which would be a fantastic score. Very high utilization of the items that you need inside your body. But it also depends on the form of the hemp that you're getting it from. So just hemp hearts themselves, I believe, have a 0.61 rating. Whereas if you have the shell in there and everything, you're still extracting all of the goodness in the shell. It goes up a little bit. And so what makes ours different, though, is the way we process it. Most hemp protein, if you buy it nowadays, it's a flat 70% is pretty much the cap on it that you can buy. It's going to be green or brown in color, and it's going to smell and taste like earth. Like it's the earthy goodness that some people don't like
Sure.
as a flavor profile. When we process ours, it ends up this white to off-white, free-flowing powder that easily disperses into water. That's the whole point of it. And because of that, it makes it more enjoyable, the experience when you're having it. So people will want to come back to it. Not only that, as you consume it, I don't know about you, but whenever I've taken the wheys or casein proteins, it almost feels like it hits me, like it drops a brick in my stomach. So if I can never have it before working out, it always has to be an after workout, and then it just doesn't complement how I feel afterwards.
Yeah.
The hemp is calm. It's more relaxing. You're gonna have a better fat profile in the oils that you may have left over, low fat, low calories, stuff like that. And in fact, the line that we launched is basically just 20 grams of hemp protein, active hemp protein, and some flavors and sugar. That's it. We didn't try and beef it up with anything. We tried to keep it as pure as possible. That way you're not distracted with anything else. You're here to get protein and protein alone, and that's what we gave you. So as a 40-gram serving, we give you 20 grams of protein, and that 20 gram is a reasonable mark to hit, especially with the PDCA score being where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about keeping it, as pure as humanly possible. I'm definitely all about that. And yeah, I'm totally with you. I've had some adverse effects with the whey protein, man. Sometimes it just doesn't
Yeah.
sit right. You know what I mean?
To,
Like,
to,
yeah, it can
yeah,
be
to each their
gnarly.
own. Some
Yeah,
people swear by the way because, of course, you're going to get the highest return on investment. But
sure.
it's if you want to turn off your taste buds and how your body feels, that's good for you as well. But to add on to the
Yeah.
protein, I mean, this is elaborating on more research. This ECS we have used, so we've developed our own extraction system to pull out protein from the hemp material itself. So we use algae protein or algae polymers to pull out and extract and isolate the protein. So what we do is we usually get like an oil layer and then a aqueous phase where we have the protein inside of it, and then of course we do post-processing filtration steps and cleanup steps, and we've gotten up to about 85% protein now, is what we're getting out of it. Beautiful white, white to off-white color, beautiful flavor profile out of it after we spray dry it. And so with this new system, what we're trying to do is expand this so we use more of the plant. What makes me sad is I look out in the world today and I see extractors that take their biomass and they'll even just the hemp hearts, anything, they pull out the oils that they want and they chuck the rest. Or it might go back to a farm or a feedstock or
Mm,
something, but it's just a waste product. If we pull out the oils, there's still
right.
protein, there's still structure, there's still items there that present value for the world out there. So we've proven our extraction process with even spent biomass. We get the protein out after the oil's been removed. It's actually nicer for us because it's one less cleanup step that we have to worry about. And then after we're all done with the protein
Mm-hmm.
extraction, really what's left is this lignocellulosic matrix, this very light friable. It's white in color. The biomass that's left over, it breaks easily, but it's really energy dense. So what we're trying to do now is partner with people or get investors to where we can start to throw these almost biofuel reactors, if you will, almost where you're going to burn this friable material that has a high energy concentration. So you're going to power your plant off of renewable sources, not off of oil or propane or something.
Wow. Oh, I see. And then that completes that full
Yep.
circle right there.
Yep.
Also, I love that. See, I'm all about that. And it seems almost like a no-brainer that and it's almost surprising that other companies aren't choosing to
Yeah.
do that. Or is that surprising to you or
I think because of how young this industry is, we haven't been forced to
ah,
take advantage of all profit streams as other companies and other industries have. So the other ones, they're always trying to find ways just to increase it by that penny. We've had such a how do I say this nicely, like a very nice price point on all of our material for such a long time that we haven't been
ah,
forced to try and find creative ways to lower our costs. We will get there. That this industry will become commoditized, just like any other dietary supplement out there. Um, so why not look to the future for cost savings? But the way we look at it, ECS is the hemp plant is so powerful. There's so many uses out there. Why not try and find and use all of it? And why would you want to approach it wasting a whole bunch? So that's really what we're trying to focus
mm,
on.
yeah,
Beyond, so I mean, anything beyond
absolutely.
cannabinoids, proteins, fibers, energy sources. We're looking at the broader picture here at ECS.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally with you on that. And then speaking of, looking forward and sort of the nascent stage of the industry so far, and how how federal regulations in this country, if or
Yeah.
when they ever occur, like who even knows what's going on, but I understand that you have over a decade of food safety engineer and laboratory director experience, and so I wanted to ask you about this because the use of hemp, CBD, and cannabinoids in dietary supplements has been an increasing topic of discussion lately. Currently, the FDA bans the use of CBD and hemp in foods, beverages, and dietary supplements. Now, some states allow it, but federal regulations, if implemented, may define how the products are made, packaged, and sold, and how much CBD or how, like, the level of cannabinoids that could be allowed in such products. Now, some say this may lead to more consistent supply and quality, but I'm curious, would an update in policy by the FDA be a welcome move by y'all over at ECS? And what implications do you think it would have on the industry if that were to occur?
Emphatically, yes. I love the idea of full regulation. It's there to protect people.
Yeah,
The this industry, yes, it's growing, but it's still in a fragile state. I wish every company or more companies in this space would focus more heavily on quality, even ahead of FDA, just because all it takes is one serious adverse event related to this industry, and it's going to set us back. It'll set us back a very long time to crawl out of that hole.
yeah,
Um, so I love the idea of regulation, and you touched on it. We will have more consistent product. Testing specifications will be set. Just like we have for food and dietary supplements now, you'll have limits to hit. You'll need to make sure it holds true for the entire life of the product. Your quality team will have to go through and do checks. You'll have line clearances. You'll do um, micro swabs before you put anything inside of a vessel. Just making sure that the consumer is safe. That's the whole point of what the FDA is getting across. I think they're getting hung up on, I
right.
think, some safety data testing for it, which is unfortunate. I mean, I think we will eventually overcome that. We just need to put a nice package together of proper testing that they want in their format, and I'm sure someday they will approve it. I hope it doesn't last until the end of GW Pharma's patent on their Epidiolex and their products holds true. But um,
Mm,
I love the idea of regulation. It goes beyond just safety too. It'll hold true. It'll hold everybody to higher testing standards. So labs will have to be certain accreditation, so ISO as a requirement. If and I hope they do classify it as a supplement. FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, passed back in 2011, states that every supplement
mhm.
has to be tested at an ISO accredited laboratory. Most labs I see nowadays, even for cannabinoid testing, they are ISO accredited, which is great. They're moving in the right direction. I'm sure some are trying to catch up. I hope most people in the industry now are using ISO accredited laboratories, just because all of this stuff is so important for us to make sure that people stay safe and that they're getting what they want. The last thing we'd want is an interference peak that a lazy tech in a lab says that is one thing, but it's actually THC, and someone that's supposed to be taking it for a non-psychoactive application is now getting fired from a job or has caused an accident. Right.
Right. Right. And as you mentioned, you know, the way that it is now, something like that, an inadvertent situation like that could really set back the progress of the legitimization of the industry. And so, yeah, the focus on the safety for the consumers is always an utmost priority, but now obviously more than ever. Speaking of, the varying regulations in the different states in this country without, the current presence of federal regulations, it was the news broke last month that California Governor Gavin Newsom enacted a law that, significantly broadens the state's hemp sector by allowing retail commerce of a large variety of hemp-derived goods. Now, according to investors, the state's hemp industry up until now has been hampered by the absence of those precise laws. The legislation allows now non-psychoactive cannabinoids such as CBD to be offered as dietary supplements and as additives in food and drinks. So again, without the current existence of federal regulations, I just want to hear from you what it's like now to sort of juggle the varying statutes in different states. How does that not make
That's
your
a great
head
segue
spin?
because I was just about to talk about this as well, with the regulations, because some states do have their own.
Sure.
They've written their own policies around cannabinoids or cannabis products in themselves. And to be honest, it's quite frustrating. It's quite frustrating because Arizona
Hmm.
is going to have a different statute than Nevada, and California is going to be different than Colorado, and Colorado is different than New York. It gets especially frustrating when they're trying to
Right.
say that the material has to be sourced from this state, right? I think New York was throwing theirs together where it all had to be come from New York to try and bolster their economy there in New York. And I mean, it just prevents, like this interstate trade and free market, which is unfortunate. What I would like to see more happen more is these quality systems or the regulations they write per state have almost good neighbor relations where they approve other states' quality
Mm.
systems. If they're up to the same standard and they know that they had proper implementation and that their testing is as stringent to make sure everyone's safe, even if they were to consume it. Let's just say in Colorado, we buy something that's made from somebody in Nevada. If we have that and they can trust what Nevada says, I would prefer that because then if we get enough states buy-in, it's as though we have the FDA regulation or the FDA buy-off because then you can go interstate and it doesn't matter as long as you just tested it following in Colorado the CDPHE. If we tested it through there and California agrees with our policies, then we wouldn't have to test it again when it gets to California, and that would be ideal.
Right. Right. So, I guess then my next question is, what are your hopes for federal regulations on all of this? Do you see I don't know what is even happening in our federal government anymore. You know, we have cannabis legalization coming and going
Hmm.
and passing and then stalling, and hemp regulations, CBD and food regulations, all this. What are your hopes for your realistic hopes for federal regulations actually happening and being implemented in this country? And are you sort of prepared as ECS to adapt to
Yeah,
that if
that's
it were to occur?
I really like that question because I honestly feel that we need to have proper limits placed on products. What's the difference between a supplement and a drug, right? It's total active amount. So where does the
Sure.
supplement end, and what's the proper dosing level for what people want to get out of it? So I would love to see some of that hit. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to see instead of what a lot of states are doing is just pretty much a shotgun blast. You have to test everything. It doesn't matter what. More guidance on this is what's safe and this is what's not, and this is what a known contaminant is. If you were to open up, it's called the Food Chemical Codex. Pretty much every food or supplement that's in circulation today, there's a blurb about it, and there's known contaminants. Hey, sugar is known to have this inside of it, so you need a test for that. Build something like that. Let's get uniformity across the board, so there's no questions about it. I wouldn't mind seeing guidance on how to process, but that should fall still within how regular dietary supplements are processed. I would love to see some allowance on structure function claims that we're allowed to say. That's the difference between really a drug and a food is dietary supplements have a structure function claim. So if they give guidance on that, like, hey,
Mm.
this helps with X, right? I would love to be able to put that on a label without feeling anxious that the FDA is going to yell at me later. Um, yeah, but
Right.
those are the major ones. Just so we can
Yeah.
open up commerce across the states, have it be readily available in any store that's willing to put products on the shelves, because it is such a powerful active component. All these minor cannabinoids are fantastic. At ECS, we focus only on the hemp material. We're not the cannabis company. We're not the THC company. We are staying below that 0.3% level, and of course, with federal regulation, maybe some guidance on maybe lowering that so there's no application or no chance for people to get high off of what's on the shelf. Because the last thing I would want is some 12-year-old kid to
Mm-hmm.
grab it and try it, and the next thing you know, he's a different kid for the rest of his life.
Right, right. Yeah, certainly. And it's all about, it always comes down to, I think, you know, the constant education of getting this information out to the people out there who can really benefit from it, as well as broadening accessibility to the people who can really benefit from it. And then, of course, ensuring the safety so that we prevent any sort of
Yeah.
unfortunate event from occurring that may set the progress of the industry back.
Mhm.
However, in the meantime, we are already we're already pretty much done with 2021. I personally cannot believe it. It has literally gone by
Mhm.
in half of a blink of an eye. But what have y'all got in the works to round out this year over at ECS? And then what have you got looking forward to
Yeah.
in the future that you
So
can share
again,
with me?
larger volume production for our emulsion technology, trying to get that so where we can supply our customers or even increase supply if we want. Grow and distribute our hemp fuel lines. Since we spent all this time creating all these beautiful different products, we got to get them out there. We got to let the world enjoy them and provide us that positive feedback or negative. Any feedback I'd love to hear, because then it always makes us a better company. Um, so we're really focusing on that. When it comes to
Mm.
research, we want to now start scaling more so our protein production as well, and hopefully get some of these additional companies where we can start putting this technology where we can pull out the proteins and whatever their waste product is for their hemp. Let us play with it, get it out, and then I'll give you something you can power your plant with. And hopefully we this is a finite resource. Yes, everyone and their mom went into farming a couple years ago, so we had this surplus of biomass, but eventually that'll level out, and it is a finite resource.
Yeah.
We should try and use it as best we can. That way we don't have a lot of waste. We're all for trying to make the planet a better place.
Mm. Absolutely. Oh, I'm right there with you on that. I think that's a great place to end the conversation because, yeah, I'm totally with you on that, man. Well, we will certainly be keeping an eye on all that you've got going on over at ECS Brands. And of course, again, if you ever have anything else that you would like to talk about, another study, results of anything, please feel free to reach out. Would love to have you back and discuss all of that. And to keep our viewers and our listeners up to date on there. But for now, thank you so much for your time. I very, very much appreciate you offering all of your perspective and your thoughts on all that's going on. Please continue to be well and stay safe and keep up the good work out there, man.
All right, thanks, RJ. Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Yeah, I'll definitely be reaching back out to you once we have our next breakthrough.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Sounds good. You heard it here first, y'all. We'll get a TRICHOMES exclusive next time on the next breakthrough, y'all. Well, Dr. Jason Hastings, thank you so much again. That is it for Hash It Out, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm your host, RJ Balde, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out our channel. Click here to watch another episode of Hash It Out. To find more cannabis industry reporting, insider stories, and to stay up to date on the latest trends, make sure to subscribe and keep up with our TRICHOMES community app. Download it now for free, and we'll see you there.